welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for being here. By now, you've already seen my top 10 list of all time, and this is a bit of a hybrid. A list about games that have not yet arrived that could not be contenders for my top 10. This is 5 games that might change my top 10 list permanently. I thought this was a weird, neat take. As a content creator, I get the opportunity to see behind the curtain, to get a little preview of the games that are showing up and coming. I've got to playtest and prototype a ton of games that haven't been here, and I would have loved to have some of these on my list, but they're not here, and I didn't include any games we couldn't get access to that weren't finished products on my top 10 list. So, I thought I'd do this extra additional video, and if I sound a little hoarse, it's because we've been up all night filming, and I've been talking for probably 8 hours straight today. So yeah, I can be a little hoarse. I'm going to show you the direct comparisons. I'm going to talk to you about what these games are and where I think they're going to be competing in my top 10 list as they come in. I'm going to play them head to head, and there's a strong chance my list will not be the same going into next year. But that's the nature of lists and of playing games and of our hobby space, I suppose. So, number 1 is going to be a little-known game called Townsfolk Tussle, a game that I put out a video back in the day titled 5 Reasons Townsfolk Tussle is better than Kingdom Death. Now, don't worry. It's not competing with my Kingdom Death spot. Kingdom Death is game 0. It's not going anywhere. Period, hard stop. It is a permanent fixture in my list at 0. But Townsfolk Tussle, it might just be the entryway, the pathway to Kingdom Death. It might be the door we cross. It is one of the most accessible, most helter-skelter, fun, cooperative little skirmish games I've played, where you're working together to take down these thematic big boss characters, and it is so inspired off of the back of Kingdom Death that it's not even funny to compare the two. And that's great. I want more of that in my collection. So, Townsfolk Tussle, where might it be positioned? For me, Townsfolk Tussle is probably positioned in the middle range. It's competing with the spot that Scythe currently has, and I'd say it's also probably competing with a spot that Cockroach Poker currently has. I don't know that I get rid of either of those. I think Scythe might be the one that ekes out just because of the nature of the games. They're not quite a direct comparison, but there's other games on that list that I would be a little bit more hard-pressed to move, whereas I think I'd get Townsfolk Tussle to the table, in theory, more than I'd get Scythe. It doesn't kick out the front spot. It doesn't shift Blood Rage at all. I don't think it's going to be, the perfect game. It doesn't take my number 1 spot, but I think it's probably going to end up in there, or at least a strong contender for being in there. My second one, this is going to be ISS Vanguard by Awakened Realms. This is a prototype we have played over and over and over again, and I have made public declarations. I think ISS Vanguard is the best game that Awakened Realms has made yet, for me, specifically. And I see it, honestly, replacing Tainted Grail. I think it takes that spot. I love the theme and the style. I love both of the aesthetics of the game, but I'm hoping they simplify and clean up some of the rougher elements of Tainted Grail, the bits and pieces that you sort of house rule to get through some of the mechanics. And I hope they just present ISS Vanguard clean and contained and exactly where it is right now. That game is, for me, a masterpiece of space exploration, of crazy stories, and really cool experiential moments. And so that's the one that's high on my list of, I think this knocks Tainted Grail off the list. Does it knock the Great Wall, the other Awakened Realms game? I don't know that I really compare the two. The Great Wall is sort of my tower defense worker placement. It's sort of a Euro-esque. I don't think it does. I think ISS Vanguard is a straight ticket. It's either Tainted Grail or ISS. Both of them won't be on that list. Moving down, Mission Catastrophe, a game that I have been hyping up for way too long. by Cardboard Alchemy, the publishers of Flamecrafter, which a lot of you are probably more familiar with. This is everything Nemesis should be, a semi-co-op, if not no co-op, full competitive spaceship falling apart. Do your best to finagle your way to an escape pod and get off the ship with your mission complete. Plays fast, plays quick, super fun, and has so many crazy modules and expansions and bits and pieces. I cannot stop talking about this game. I think it competes with Cockroach Poker. I think it competes with Scythe, and I think it competes with Ratcatcher. It might be the indie sweetheart that bumps Ratcatcher off the back of the ship, and Mission Catastrophe might take that number 10 spot. I don't know that it moves up. It might just squish things in a little bit more, but I really hope and expect that if my hopes for that game are where I think they're going to be, I hope it lands solid in there. Now, a game that, in my opinion, from my playtests so far, may in fact compete with my number 0, Oathsworn. Oathsworn is this crazy dystopian hero-scape boss battler where you're ripping body parts off. It has one of the coolest targeting systems I've ever experienced, with modules, and the way that you're actually tearing down the creature affects the way that the AI is interacting with you. Crazy miniatures. This full Deepwood saga with these earthen creatures coming up to life. Oathsworn may in fact be the game that competes with Kingdom Death for my attention for a period of time. Does that mean it beats Kingdom Death? No, I've already told you. Nothing beats Game 0, but Oathsworn might beat Bus, and it might beat Blood Rage. Oathsworn is a strong contender for my number 1 spot. If my playtests are any indication, I think it might be. Now, I'm holding out hope, and campaign games are reliant on so many factors that you just don't know until the games actually get into your hands, but I have a good feeling about it, and I'm so compelled by some of the mechanics that I've played so far. I cannot wait to get it to the table. It is probably one of my most anticipated games, period. Well, I mean, it's competing for number 1, so it better be. And then finally, a game that I don't actually mention that much, but really should be of note, Endless Winter. Endless Winter is going to be directly competing with The Great Wall, and it's going to be directly competing with Scythe. I don't think the other games move. I don't expect, but Scythe or the Great Wall might leave, and it might actually be the Great Wall leaving for Endless Winter. Endless Winter is going to be a deck-building worker placement game with a lot of fun modules included. It is one of Alex's most anticipated games, and I have enjoyed it quite a lot as well. The thing for me is it does these two genres, worker placement and deck building, better than almost any other game that I've seen, and I like the system. I like the idea. I like the core concept, but Dune Imperium, and blanking on the other one. It's too early in the morning. The other games that usually get compared to Endless Winter didn't quite sing for me, whereas Endless Winter, just the prototype that I had, was the strongest contender out of that bunch. So it's right here. It's right here. So I think there's a chance by this time next year, my prediction would be my top 10 list might in fact be Mission Catastrophe, Endless Winter, ISS Vanguard, Space Empires, Gloomhaven, Townsfolk Tussle, Anachrony, Cockroach Poker, Blood Rage, and Oathsworn? No, swap out Cockroach Poker or Gloomhaven for Bus, which is my current number 1, and then toss Oathsworn at the front. That's my prediction. That's the guess. That's the things that might change. But then again, what do I know? These are games that I've already played. There's a whole year ahead of me between when we do the next list and now, and a lot more games to get to the table. Hopefully you found this interesting, my weird predictions for how I think my list might shift and adjust. I can't wait for these games to come in so I can give you real coverage and let you know if they really did meet up to my expectations. Whatever the case, whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games. We'll see you next time, and I'm going to bed.